You make it sprint into a danger zone. Now, Big Jim faces Zorak. You make Torpedo Fist unload the Laser Vet Blitzrig team comes with 3 sold separately. New from Mattel.
Welcome to another Hollywood Night Heat. This time we're on the road. We had just gotten out of a screening of the new Running Man, directed by Edgar Wright, and afterwards there was a Q&A with Guillermo DelToro and Edgar Wright.
The thing is that we are a person and we have many interests, and unfortunately we reveal them film by film. So each time we make a movie, we reveal a part of our personality that nobody had seen before. Right? I remember one of the reviews for Pan Sam on the way to Cannes. They said, Pan Sam Cannes is now admitting movies from the guy that directed Blade 2. So each movie by movie we reveal. I think this is a really beautiful movie that exists better now, after the campaigns and after them selling the movie they want to sell, is the movie that you wanted to make. Yeah,
Guillermo's a great guy. Whoa,
it's
look
like
at
a
that.
Party hang. There's a party happening.
There's a bunch
here.
of robots over here. Hold on.
These fancy robots.
It's a robot
it's a orgy.
Holy moly.
Oh, God.
They're plotting to take over.
I think you could hear him fucking.
I know that you're very to disconnect me.
What?
And I'm afraid that's something I cannot allow.
Sorry about that. That's what's happening in Hollywood.
Oh, goodness. Let's get out of here.
So anyway, we just got out of the screening. I held off and I didn't even see the movie. I hadn't watched Running Man. You hadn't watched it either, right?
No, I hadn't seen it, but I had heard great things about it from the host of the show, who saw the trailer back in, when did this come out? December?
It just became available on streaming. So
You were excited
Jeff,
about that.
I was very excited. You didn't like the trailer?
I didn't watch it. I heard that from you, and I was like, great. I don't need to see it. It's Edgar Wright.
Yeah.
Fucking love Edgar Wright movies.
All right. Well, so what do you think?
It didn't connect with me at all. I was bored maybe 3 times where I was like, oh yeah. And then I just immediately sat back and just, none of it connected with me at all.
I didn't want to hate it. And I kept giving it a break because I thought, well, I never read the book, so maybe this is closer to the book, because he kept saying how it was a more closer adaptation of the book than the 87 film. I like the 87 film. It's not
the 87 TV movie. Just kidding.
Yeah. I mean, we love Arnold. Everybody loves Arnold, and we love that movie. But it's really not it's not his best. You know, Commando and Predator are better, in my opinion.
Low budget, man.
Yeah. I know a buddy who says, like, Glenn Powell's, his character had these anger issues, and that felt really off. And as I watched it, I'm like, no, I can accept that. And considering the way his life was, and you know, if it was in the original novel, I was like, I didn't have an issue with him being angry. You know, shit.
Oh man, that was part of what I loved was when he was getting really fucking angry and answering the word association scene.
Yeah,
that was fantastic.
That was
and that was like, oh, okay, finally we're getting good, because I didn't like the chemistry between him and his wife. It felt there was none. And it just felt like, oh, there's a good-looking person. Let's cast them. There's a good-looking person.
I kind of thought that,
Let's cast them. And then, okay, you guys are husband and wife, and action.
Yeah.
It's Jim Carrey.
Yeah, I kind of thought that, too. I thought they were too pretty for that world, considering how beaten down they were supposed to be.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez, I don't know. But
that his daughter's cough was breaking my heart.
yeah.
That little kid cough. Oh man.
Yeah. Yeah. Mr.
And then she started crying. So I almost turned to you and went, "Oh, you probably love this shit."
I love when kids really cry.
Yeah.
Here's one thing I found interesting with the Q&A, because I could keep talking about what went wrong with the movie, but the Q&A, when he gave the backstory, the original creation of this whole story by Stephen King.
As I discovered, like in the press tour, I didn't know this before, that he'd actually written it in 1973. So it actually existed 9 years before it was published. But I like the idea of just doing this retro futuristic thing of like, well, what if this was like, when the book comes out, it's Stephen King. As you probably, I didn't mention this in the intro, but maybe some of you know that the book is set in 2025, which he just plucked out of the air. And I remember asking Steve, and I said, why 2025? He said, the number sounded cool and it was a long way off. And if you haven't seen the cover of the book from 1982, the log line on the cover of the book from 1982 says, "Welcome to the year 2025, where the best men don't run for president, they run for their lives."
Well, they are terrible, right?
Anyway, they're two on the nose. I wonder why Paramount didn't go with that.
What I found fascinating was that Edgar asked him, where did you even come up with something like this? Because there was no reality TV didn't even exist back then in 73. And he said it was from professional wrestling. Because even the backstage stuff, like that wasn't really well known back in those early 70s. But and he said professional wrestling. I thought, oh, that makes a lot of sense.
Guillermo DelToro,
kept saying kayfabe. I'm like,
Yeah.
what, does he know pro wrestling? That was kind of neat. Yeah, but then he did, in that Q&A, he kept talking about Glenn Powell, what a superhero he is. And
Also, in Glenn Powell, you couldn't ask for somebody that's in every scene and works harder.
it's like, all right, I get it. Jesus. Get a room.
Well, you gotta be blessed to have like a lead actor that gives it his all.
Yeah. All right, but talking about the movie itself is that I have to say it became a real clusterfuck near the end. So there was stuff that was super corny. I was like, just roll with it. Like when that little kid that helped him out of that TVA, the little kid and his brother.
Yeah,
And he took the can and he turned around and he wrote Richards Lives really big on that. I don't know how he got all the way up there.
Exactly.
And it was so crisp. It was obviously a computer overlay.
Yeah.
And I was like, come on now. I mean, I don't need ultra realism, but that looks silly. And then the book ended at the end. He was perfectly centered in that obviously digital. Oh, it was just so cringy,
Lives,
but cool. Yeah,
I mean, it got me though. Like
yeah,
because it was such a strong visual, and
Right.
it hits you. But
dude, and that in the end when he comes marching up out of the fire, like it was the corny but really cool and really sad. That was satisfying to me. Yeah.
and then cut to the dude explaining everything to everybody. Like, really, you're gonna make us sit through a guy telling us what happened?
Right.
I couldn't believe that shit, man. And it's not like this is a beloved character that we all like, oh man. A lot of that movie was just like, okay, now here's this character and Michael Cera's in it. Like, I should be happy to see Michael Cera. I didn't give a shit, man.
Yeah.
I didn't care. Like, I was just slumped in my chair watching the Home Alone sequence.
Right.
And then Glenn Powell, come on, come with me. Wait, I'm gonna stay here and look at these guys getting their asses killed.
Yeah.
Oh wow, and now I'm gonna almost get shot, but I'm not gonna get shot because I'm not supposed to get shot. There was so many fucking times where those bullets just magically missed him. And I'm not talking about the scenes where the hunters were missing him on purpose just to lead him. I don't know. You were saying?
So when when he became the hero for some weird reason, it was kind of like I was thinking in Rocky 4 when they all of a sudden start chanting for Rocky for no reason.
Yeah.
What, now you like him? And also in the last Superman that James Gunn did, they immediately hate him.
Get them hoes, as many hoes as you can.
Yes, get all them hoes, my son.
I got a can of fucking cream corn. I'm gonna throw at your head, Soups.
Like they wanted Richard's dead, and then all of a sudden, no, we love him, and not only do we love him, we hate you now.
Yeah.
That was a bit of a stretch.
Well, yeah, they did find that the black box apparently.
Yeah.
Right? And
Yeah, I guess so.
they saw his original message.
There again, I really do want to read the original book, because if it's got that type of stuff,
And a bleak.
and
ending.
another thing was interesting about this movie is that, and he did talk about that, is that it had like little bits of analog thinking in it, where he had to mail the video.
Yeah.
All the time, like where in this world you can just live stream shit everywhere, and that was kind of interesting. I thought that was neat.
In the retro-futuristic thing, when me and Michael Bacall, who co-wrote Scott Pilgrim, like sort of work on the adaptation thing, well, rather than jettison all of the analog stuff from the book, what if we kept that, and what if we did a retro-futuristic thing where it's like Stephen King's idea of 2025, where some things he got right, and some things the idea that some analog technology is stuck around.
They get him to the house, and they're watching The Running Man on a TV that watches you back.
Yeah.
Like, were they not thinking? And then he goes, "Look here's my secret place with all these old TV monitors and shit."
Right.
And like, because we're one step ahead of. I was like, well, you just.
Yeah, that's weird too. I expected that whole BFE, big fucking explosion or something.
Yeah.
I thought, that's going to show up again. And
Well, he
did.
alluded to
I know.
it.
He's bluffing. But
you bluff it, yeah.
But
I mean, it's funny. It had all the ingredients. And when Guillermo and Eddy were talking about it afterwards, I was like, yeah, I remember that scene. And I remembered it like, yeah, that was cool. But from like their perspective, I was thinking it was cool. Because yeah, I saw it. I didn't enjoy it when I saw it. But them talking about making it, well, Edgar Wright, just seeing how much hard work and fun they had making it, like I appreciated it. Like I appreciate it. I'm not saying this is a bad movie,
right?
And I'm glad I didn't buy the DVD before to get it signed, because I can't ever see myself watching this again. And I didn't, Running Man, I think we recorded off of HBO or Cinemax back in the day on VHS, but ain't no way in hell I was gonna ever buy The Running Man. Yeah. DVD. But Predator, hell yeah, how many times,
Yeah, sure.
And Total Recall, yeah. And that was another thing. When you're gonna make a movie like this, you're gonna make a movie that's real satirical and political, and you're going to kind of model it after RoboCop.
Yeah.
It felt a lot like RoboCop and Speed Racer, the Wachowski's Speed Racer.
Yeah. Yeah, it did feel like that.
And it's like RoboCop. That's the goal,
right?
If you're going to even attempt to capture what Paul Verhoeven captured, then you gotta turn it on its ear or something. You gotta do something unique. And I felt like he was just kind of doing what was expected.
Well, RoboCop was a satire, right? Yeah. And this wasn't really. I mean, this was just more. This was more like District 9-ish, this dystopian shit world. And I love Edgar Wright's incorporation of music. I think he's really got a good ear for that. I like.
What did he have in this?
He knew when to hit it. I loved when he was walking through the streets, and then he was going to the city. They show the title, it says directed by and all that. I really like just the vibe, just the music. He knows where to put the right music in. And
I don't remember it though. That's why I like.
Yeah, it was. I don't know the song. It was just a good opening song, and then they had the Stones playing, the Rolling Stones, and it just came out of nowhere. I'm not a big Stones fan, but it just fit, He did that, and Tom Jones tune, the running song. I don't know. I always like his choice of music. But it was a loud fucking movie. It was a lot of battle banging, bang, 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 bang. I was just like, I'm old, I guess.
And a lot of cuts, man. The action, the chase with the buggy that they were in, Michael Cera and him, and then the big trucks, was like, I was like, I couldn't believe it. Like, this guy directed Baby Driver, and he doesn't know how to edit a chase scene.
I thought the one time. All right, so I was looking for the Edgar Wright moments, where he shines when he storytells, and there's a great. Have you seen this? And I would get all my storyboard artists to watch this. It's called Every Frame's a Painting. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. My son got me.
And have you seen the Edgar Wright one? Because it's brilliant. It talks about his storytelling, and I would show it to. Every time I'd have a new crew, storyboard crew, I say, you got to watch this. Mm-hmm. And there's another one on Buster Keaton, but Edgar Wright, the way he tells the story, like they were using, I think, Hot Fuzz and stuff like that, and the way it's really clever the way he staged things. And in this, there was nothing really clever as far as staging, not at all. Like the one time, I'm like, when he kind of panned the camera up when the elevator was broken and it went through the floor. I don't know if you even noticed it. It was just
rats.
Quick. Yeah, the rats, and it just went up through the floor, and I'm like, okay, that's interesting, that's clever, but that was kind of it. Yeah. When he's in the trunk of the car, and then the thing opens and the camera kind of pans, and it sees the guys following him. I'm like, all right, interesting, keep it the same shot, but nothing really clever.
Yeah,
with his storytelling.
I really was hoping, like in the cockpit fight at the end, me as a director, like thinking it through Killian's eyes, Josh Brolin's character, would be like, get another Sphere camera in there, god damn it. I'd be thinking about how was the audience watching this? Would the audience be even jazzed about what they're seeing? I wanted to see the control room directing, and maybe having the spheres getting in the way because they're trying to get over here and get an over the shoulder shot. The other guy is going for the gun, so the camera, I don't know, just like having them involved. And when I found out when they were making Spider-Man 2 with Doc Ock, and I remember the script had leaked on like Ain't It Cool News, and it was a description of Doc Ock in the lab working and sitting down and smoking a cigar and writing down his notes and bringing a microscope close and getting a little petri dish or whatever, and putting it down. And it's all his arms doing all this. And I remember thinking, how the fuck are they gonna do this? This is impossible. You've got a sequence that it's a fight scene in a cockpit. I was pretty much bored. I thought it was pretty cool, like, okay, you're seeing that Killian is controlling the plane from afar. They're doing it into Ben Richards' favor. It's tipping, so the gun slides to him, and pretty cool where it drops and the gun comes right up into his hand, but it was a little too quick, the edits. But what I'm saying is, if you wrote that scene to have the camera spheres involved, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, and really get into it. And you're making a big budget movie. It's a big studio picture. You can do things like that to where this isn't just a Jean-Claude Van Damme scene in the cockpit. So it never really escalated or elevated to a level that I would be like, whoa, now this is brilliant. Yeah. And it was really sad.
The one thing that really annoyed me, and it's always annoyed me in other films, speaking of those sphere cams that followed him everywhere.
Oh my God.
And when they got the girl was running, and she hopped in the car, I'm sure you noticed, because it drives me crazy whenever somebody's like, well, look, we have CCTV of you, and it just looks like a regular movie. It cuts like a normal movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
when she's running out of the
she runs out, and then she
runs past,
and it's like the one's ground level shot,
looking up at the guy up there,
and then it's a wide shot of the car spinning, and there's no other spheres in the shot. Like, if they would at least put one on the ground, like, okay, that's the one that caught that shot.
Yeah,
but he just put the movie on the.
Yeah, exactly, and it's a miracle to get a movie made, you know, and to complete it and get it out there. And he did a great job with that, but it just unfortunately it didn't go above and beyond like it needed to.
Yeah, that could have been fun. I mean, cut into the control room of them with the spheres. Cut the other one. Cut the other one.
And have the camera operator accidentally knock one of the hunters out, trying to get that sphere in there just for a moment, so that Glenn Powell could then focus on the one dude, you know, and then the guy gets his bearings. Hey, man, it's.
And AI. Well, another thing I'm thinking with the novel is, did they have the AI type manipulation of making people say things that they didn't say?
Yeah,
I'm really interested.
Well, you know, imagine if this was done in the 90s, they would have like shown the control room of them mapping his face and doing all the tech guy. Yeah, just give me another minute, you know. And now we know that you could do that in seconds.
Yeah.
But yeah, you wonder, like, how far did Stephen King think ahead?
I was thinking what you know, Killian's the end, Richard Dawson at the end of that one.
Yeah,
remember how he gets it at the end?
Yeah, Richard Dawson looks up at him and he says, "Drop dead. I don't do requests." Oh, yeah.
And then he hits it.
He punches it.
And he goes too fast, and he hits a sign and blows up.
Yeah, there was a huge ton of gas in that little rocket pod apparently, and a big fuel tanker.
But when Arnold went through, he just landed and got out.
Yeah.
It was, and they did talk about the original where he says they didn't really leave that arena. I'm trying to think, didn't they? They did.
Yeah, and that's what I always didn't like about it, was that it was just over all this terrain, and it was like, man, I thought they were going to have like this gigantic studio, like the length of a mall or something. Mm-hmm. You know, I think that would be great, where you have audience, you know, maybe they're up on the roof looking in or something. And I don't know. I do know that apparently George.
Hi, my name is George Cosmatos, and I'm the director of Tombstone.
Was one of the directors that they wanted to direct the original Running Man. And his idea was to set it in a mall. And they were going to go to the big old giant Mall of America and film it there. But that was too much change to the script. So they said, out you go. But I like that idea because, you know, as growing up and as a little kid in a mall,
sure,
you want to stay there overnight, you know, and go through all the stores.
That's
and
why
Dawn of the Dead.
Dawn of the Dead's a classic. Exactly. That's why. Was it better, the original? You think it was better, the 87?
I mean, I don't really like the original that much. Mm-hmm. I mean, I still to this day, you know, when I'm walking with my wife and I put my hand on her neck, I can break your neck like a chicken's.
Now remember, I can break your neck like a chicken's.
Don't we all?
Yeah. It was just low budget sadness.
Yeah. Anyway, I there's some things I liked about it. So I think I'll probably end up watching it again because my son hasn't seen it. So
yeah, and didn't you think George Clooney was narrating it at times?
That was a lot. I don't know if it was Clooney, but
no, it was him. It was Glenn Powell talking, but he sounds, when you don't see him and you just hear his voice, like, where'd they get George Clooney from?
I'm going to convince them your handbag is a bomb long enough to bail out over Canada.
I'm talking about when he's going through the plane and stuff.
Okay, here we go. The moment of truth.
I don't need this. Like, what do I need to, when he's going through the back of the plane? Yeah.
I mean, it's the host of the show talking, and, you know. And
I didn't get his character. Who is that guy? Is he
Coleman Domingo? Yeah, he was, I think, nominated a couple of years ago
for
something. I can't remember. But he's
look like poor man's Ernie Hudson or something. I don't know. I don't know the guy, so maybe he's great. But
I remember he did an interview with, you know, where they pair up two actors, and they paired him up with Kieran Culkin.
Do you moisturize?
I'm black.
I didn't notice.
Culkin was just an audience member, basically. Here's hoping Marvel makes Kieran Culkin the new Tony Stark.
Oh, really?
That's what I think. This guy's got to be Tony Stark, kid. 40-something now. But anyway, some of the good stuff that because they were selling the Blu-ray. Amoeba Music was hosting the thing. And so they were selling the Blu-ray there. And if you bought it there, you could get it autographed by Edgar Wright himself. And Edgar was very pro physical media.
I know you believe in physical media.
Yeah.
It's not a given these days to have tons of extras. There's like 2 hours of extras on the disc and a DVD commentary.
The Kardashian show that was the Americanos on there. Like, apparently there's 20 minutes of that. So if you want to sit through that.
Your feet smell like dead mice. Now I have to burn them. You're an insane person.
No, he
you
says
can buy
he's
the
going to
DVD.
I don't think it's on the DVD.
No, he said he put it all there on the extras.
I think he said he was going to post some of it on Instagram tomorrow.
I stopped recording because I could tell these guys were going to talk for ever, and I was like, God, I got like 10 minutes of this.
It's nice being a fly on the wall, like hearing these guys talk.
But it's Sunday night.
So there it is. See it at your own peril.
Yeah.
But all right, Running Man, 2025. Adios.
Till next time.